Hello and welcome back to the Legends here at NXTGEN Racing as 2026 is gonna kick off in style with the return of these fantastic Legends Ford 34 coupes, and they are heading around the Watkins Glen circuit. Now, as I've been sitting here in practice, my question has been, what are track limits? And the answer that the drivers have given us are, we've no idea, to be totally honest with you. This amazing layout does invite you to extend those track limits around the circuit, and we have been seeing more than enough of that during the practice session as it's been going on in the background. We're sure to see it throughout the evening as well, and we have got a fantastic lineup coming your way for the Legends tonight. We have got 3 races that are going to be hard fought and competing for those race victories across all 3 of the races. Inverted grids. Second race, we'll see the top 15 invert. The third race, we'll see the whole field invert. It is going to be absolutely amazing. No rain expected here today, which means we're going to get some great close side-by-side action in all of these machines. That is for certain. 2 classes once again heading down onto the circuit for this series. We've got the Pro class and the Pro-Am class. The way that you'll be able to dictate that once they're out there on the track is once we've got our little standings up. If they've got the black background behind their racing number, they are in your Pro class. If they've got the white background, well, they're in your Pro-Am class. And if they've got the blue background, that means the safety car is going to be around, and we don't really want that. So we're not going to, hopefully, we're not going to see that throughout the evening. Now, we have got an amazing calendar lined up for you on this one, and this league is going to be running in conjunction side by side with the NXTGEN's touring car, the NXTCC as well. So they're going to run every other Tuesday, and on the weeks that the touring cars are not on, you've got us, the Legends, which means you can get down onto the track and join in both of those fantastic series. Of course, the touring cars now has closed for sign-ups. However, the Legends is well and truly open for sign-ups. We still do have some spaces left available. So if you want to get down onto the circuit after you see this amazing racing that we are going to have tonight, then make sure you head across to the NXTGEN Racing's Discord channel. Go down into the sign-up documents for the Legends and get yourself signed up for this one. It is going to be an absolutely fantastic season of competition. That is no doubt, as it extends all the way through to May as well. It is a nice long season across 10 weeks, and those 10 weeks are here because we start kicking off at Watkins Glen, a fantastic layout to start these amazing Fords around these old Legend machines. We then head across to Europe for the first time, and it's to Germany and the Oschersleben circuit. Now, the Oschersleben circuit has created some fantastic fights in so many different series. It's going to be no different around the circuit as we head over there in 2 weeks' time on February 3rd. We then head across to one of the most well-known German circuits in sim racing and motor racing as a whole, of the Nürburgring. Not the full Nordschleife, of course, but we are running the Kurzenbindung Strecke circuit, but without the arena, which I'm so grateful for, because even though the whole circuit is absolutely wonderful to drive, in these cars, that arena circuit would have been incredibly challenging to get the grips on. We then head across to Japan and the Okayama circuit. We've seen Okayama host so many different series throughout iRacing. It's one of the more popular circuits, I would even say, on the iRacing service. So it is nice to see it heading out in the for the Legends series this season, and it will create some excellent racing, no doubt, as drivers will try to find their way up the order and get those points to their names. We then head back across to the United States and we go to Portland, a circuit that I think is completely underrated. It is a hugely fun circuit to drive. It's one that you can really get into the flow of, but it also invites mistakes. It does invite some really good battling. This is going to be absolutely brilliant from all of the racing going on. Let's find out how it goes out when we go to Portland. We then head back across to Europe for a run of circuits, the Mugello circuit. One that I think really came into the limelight of people's understanding of Italian circuits when Formula One ran there during the COVID pandemic, and they went around the Mugello circuit, and people saw how amazing that track really was. Great flow. It's going to be some great racing. We then head across to Hockenheimring for the outer circuit, which is going to be extremely fast. It is going to be entertaining. And then we head to the alternate Zolder circuit. Zolder, I think, in terms of sim racing, most famous, of course, for the 23 hours it heads on around there at the end of every year. But for our next gen series, it is going to be the alternate layout that we run. That's the alternate with the chicane being slightly faster. We then head across to Willow Springs stateside again for the 9th round of competition. And as I say, this is a long old season because we finish all the way up on May 26th at the Interlagos circuit. It is going to be a very, very fun season. And hello once again to Roger and to Angie watching over there on the Facebook. I hope you are having a wonderful evening. And this certainly is going to be an absolutely amazing series. It is full of entertainment. It is, of course, full of that seriousness that we have of the Next Gen Leagues, but it does host its own craziness out there as well, with all of the different drivers going out there. Drivers that are used to front-wheel drive TCRs, drivers that are used to GT3s, and now we're putting them out there and saying, hey, you know this car from like years and years ago? Well, we want you to drive it. Good luck. And that's basically all we've done. And they're going to be going out onto the track and giving that a go. Now, like I said, this circuit, the Watkins Glen track that they're racing today, it's the classic layout. It's the international layout, which means no chicane, no boots. It is literally just a nice flowing track with the main braking points being turn number 1, being up at the top end of the circuit, which I think is turn number 5, and of course at the very end of the lap. That's about it. And all of those corners, you're going to see drivers go a little bit off the circuit. And by a little bit off the circuit, I've been watching turn 1 for most of this practice session. The racing track ends. There's about a huge runoff area before the wall. Now, in any other series, any other car, you would imagine, stick it on the track and we will leave all of that. No, they've paid for the track. They're going to use it. They've been going all the way up to that wall, and I expect the same again during the race sessions. Now, of course, because drivers are heading off the track, same rules apply. If a driver leaves the circuit, it's up to them to rejoin safely, which means, yes, you can find the speed by running wide, going off the track at turn number 1 in particular, but getting yourself back on safely is up to you, which means if you've got a whole stream of drivers down your inside and you can't find your way on, well, bad luck. You're the one who's going to have to wait for them all to go through. How's it going to turn out? We're going to see tonight. It is going to be absolutely fantastic. We have a nice field of drivers, and as we were talking through the calendar there, I was a little bit slower than normal because we had one last driver jump into the serve, and I just needed to make sure that they had a class badge to their name. So let's head down onto the track here. We have got about 5 more minutes left in this practice session. I just want to show you the field of drivers that we have out there going for the first event of the season. Black background drivers. They are our pro drivers. Nick Clibbins, Kieran Sharp, names that we are familiar with in the NXTCC, but also from the last side league that we had where I was in the commentary booth of the Mazdas. and they were names that did find themselves up towards the front and fighting. We got Ben Oucher there. Jamie Dory's up there as expected. You've got Isaac Doble in 7th position. You've got Adam Delmont there in 9th. You've got Jack... now, do you know what? I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to say it wrong, but I'm going to try. It is Jack Pitters, and I was told this yesterday because I've been pronouncing his name wrong all of yesterday and was eventually told, just remember Brad. So I'm going to do my best there for Jack Pitters, so I say his name correctly. You've also got in that pro class, you've got Craig Twardock, you've got Andrew Pike, you've got some names that we are familiar with, that we are really familiar with, and we are looking to see if they can find their way up towards the front of the field. Then you've got your Pro-Am class. Your Pro-Am class is a secondary class, fighting it out for their own championship. Now, your Pro-Ams, they are going to take the points from their class finishing positions, but they are going to take points away from your pro drivers, because pro drivers take points from their overall finishing positions. So it really does matter for those pros to find their way towards the front. But some really familiar Pro-Am driver names in there as well. You've got Adam Wilson-Weir at the moment. He's 12th overall, 3rd in class. You've got Michael Clough. You've got Sam Smith, Alan McCain, Nigel Stock, Leslie Brazil. Lots of familiar names there. Matt Gatter, Phil McDougall, names that we saw again in that Mazda Championship before. But there were lots of new names for me tonight out there as well. They were going to see how they can do. Primarily one of those that are standing out to me at the moment is the Pro-Am of Steve Bird there, all the way towards the top of the field. He sits in 3rd overall right now. Of course, as with all of the Next Gen series, classes can be shifted until the end of round number 4, which means that if Stephen Bird is showing this pace, and he continues to show this pace throughout the first 4 rounds, he could find himself shoved up into that Pro Championship, and therefore the Pro-Am Championship will be adjusted accordingly. But let's see what happens. Some other new names up in that in that Pro-Am field. You've got Sam Bradley there. He's 2nd fastest at the moment there. You've got Adrian Hernandez in 19th overall, 9th in class. You've got Jonathan Berry. He's sitting 10th in class right now. And then you've got a couple of new names over in that pro drivers that, well, new for me anyway. You've got Ned Wharton. He's sitting 7th in class, 8th overall right now. He's one of those newer names for me as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do around the circuit tonight and trying to see how they can kick off their championship. Now, of course, because this is a 10-week event, it's running every other Tuesday, and there are 3 races every night. There are 30 races in this championship, which means drivers are going to have 30 opportunities to do the absolute best that they can, find all of those points that they are that there is to offer around these circuits, and that is going to start off in qualifying to try and place themselves in the best position possible for the first race of the day. And as we know and love, of course, in this series and in the Next Gen events, it's going to be an open qualifying session. All drivers will be around this circuit running at the same time on the same piece of tarmac, trying to find a little bit of space anywhere and everywhere that they can to try and get themselves into a good position to get in the best lap possible. How's that going to turn out? Well, we're going to find out in about 1.5 minutes' time when the qualifying session will begin. A nice field here, 24 drivers, and as I was saying earlier, there are a few more spaces left available. So if you do enjoy what you see tonight, then don't hesitate. Get yourself over into the Next Gen Discord. Links available on the YouTube, links available on the Facebook for you to go and head across into the Discord, get yourself signed up, and to join the remaining 9 events in the league after the start today. And it is going to be a very, very interesting one indeed. These cars always create close racing, and they can create some incredibly just entertaining battles. Talking about close racing, Jamie Doy and Lee Horn were absolutely inseparable in that practice session, both of them placing in an identical lap time there in the 1:24.171s. Incredible to see, and looking at the gaps between, the intervals between each of the drivers, it is so close, just tenths, mostly even hundredths of a second between each driver. So qualifying is going to be interesting. Are we going to see any partnerships form up out there? Now, Jamie Dory is a driver who loves a partnership. He found a partnership in Isaac Doble in the Mazda MX-5s, and it pulled him up a number of times across the qualifying sessions. Even in series outside of NXTGEN, Jamie likes to find a partnership around circuits that require a good amount of draft. And how fast this track is, it really does require a good amount of draft. Now, talking about qualifying, we are underway. We are going to head out here around the Watkins Glen circuit for the first time on qualifying. It is going to be drivers heading in to put out the fastest laps possible to try and pull themselves towards the front. And we can see Kieran Sharp and Ben Oucher following Jamie Doy out of the pit lane there. Doy decides to move across to the side. He is going to give just a little bit of space here to try and drop behind. He's going to want the toe. He doesn't want to be leading the chain of drivers on the first qualifying lap of the day. That's where you can push it wide. You can see Dory decides to stick it within the track limits there. Carl Thompson not getting his qualifying off to the best of starts. We'll have to visit pit lane once more, but we come to the end of the circuit, and it's nice without that chicane. It's very fast, it's very flowing, and we are going to ride on board here with Jamie Dory to get the first lap underway, and we can see what a lap of the Watkins Glen Classic International Circuit looks like as we head up towards turn number 1. Dory getting a distant toe here. We turn it into turn 1. We forget what track limits are and we push it all the way up to the wall on the outside. Really maximise your angle through there, almost straight line it out of the corner so you can then head through the S's and along the back straight. Again, this distant toe is going to be helping Dory out, but Oucher has a much tighter toe on the back of Kieran Sharp up ahead, and he is going to go for an overtake there, but this is why Dory wanted to back away slightly, so he wasn't going to have to swap over positions and relinquish a toe towards the end of the lap. Now, up to the hairpin at the very end. Again, you can push it wide here as well. Dory is going to do that on the qualifying lap this time. He didn't do it on his out lap, but this is all still valid. It does not count as off tracks running off the circuit where they are, and now we head up towards the end of the lap as well. Finally onto the brakes proper there as Dory gets it slowed down and into the final turn, trying to find just a little bit of time towards the end of the lap to see if he can overcome what was a slight deficit to Oucher with how strong Oucher's toe was there, and it shows you just how strong the toe was from Ben Oucher because he goes a whole second faster in the lead. Talking about towing, here is a train of drivers all getting toe around the circuit right now as we head up towards turn number 1, and Sam Bradley is on the outside of the number 37 machine, who is Adam Delmont. So the two drivers there running in the same livery. I think they might be well versed in working together as Bradley goes through. In fact, there's a little bit of an accident up ahead, and that is going to cause issues for some drivers that have to jump off of the racing line there. Not too sure who that was. It might have been Alan McCain, and it was McCain who went into the tyre wall, then spun around, avoided by everyone, and he kept it out of the way as well. He's first in class right now, the fastest of the Pro-Ams as we return to the legends in the midfield. Now this is already showing you how tight the race is going to be. This is qualifying. This isn't even the races at the moment. And you can see just how close it is. It is absolutely incredible how much they are fighting out there right now, but just trying to find all the time that they possibly can. Driver found the most time at the moment has been Isaac Doble, who has found his way to the front. Ned Wharton finds himself into second position right now, ahead of Jack Pitters in third position. Great Swadrock sits in fourth ahead of Kieran Sharp right now. That's the top five. All of them pro drivers. Other pro drivers not up there at the moment. You've got Clements, Pike, Vaughan, Oucher, Dorian, Delmont, all down the order. Some pro-ams without lap times on the board right now, including Adrian Ruiz Hernandez in the number 19 machine. Of course, you can push your car off wide through a number of these corners around the Watkins Glen circuit. It will remain valid. However, have just a little bit of a nudge with somebody, getting maybe a bit of a attack from ahead or from behind. That will invalidate your lap with the 0x. You do have to be careful about any car contact there, as that was Hernandez going past his teammate in the 14 of Matt Gatter, running both them running for Gassed Up as we head through the final two turns. And seeing if Hernandez is able to get a time in the books this time. Carl Thompson does. Steve Bird also without a time on the board right now. 9 minutes left in this session, and will the 19 of Hernandez get in a valid lap as Delmont improves up to 11th position. Again, it looks like an invalid lap for Adrian Hernandez, who will be looking once more to try and move up the order. 8/10 of a second off a pole right now is Adam Delmont, but the top 12 are all within a second of your ace pole sitter, Isaac Doble, at the moment as we head up towards the end of the course. And I don't know why Delmont's picture has decided to go on its side. Hopefully it's not some sort of precursor of what might happen tonight. He'll be hoping that he can have a nice clean championship. Of course, last time we headed out in a side league like this was the Mazda MX-5. Delmont fighting Doble for the championship in that one, missing out at the very last hurdle of Mosport. He'll be wanting to put that into the back of his mind and focus now on the legends. Of course, he is heading out there in the NXTCC, as well as most of our drivers are heading out on the legends on the off weeks from the touring cars. That's Lee Horn trying to stay out of the way through the final corner there, and he'll be coming up towards pit lane, I'm sure, as we see a driver into the wall in the background, and it is a collection behind as drivers all come together, and Andrew Pike finds a good amount of speed out there and has moved into second position, less than a 10th of a second off of Isaac Doble, and he has a lovely amount of slipstream ahead of him as well that will be continuing to pull him up further with 7 minutes left to go in this session. On the back straight, we are riding on board with Andrew Pike, who moved into second position. Will be looking to try and find his way past Isaac Doble, who is currently our provisional pole sitter, and seeing if he is able to potentially take a pole here. Doble taking a good amount of poles in the last, in the Mazdas, but did not manage to replicate it in the victory count as much, but it didn't matter too much as Pike has to swerve to the left with a number of slowing drivers. That's going to impact his lap time. He's going to run off the circuit there. It still counts as a valid lap, though. He hasn't got to worry about that being invalidated, but it is going to slow him down towards the end there as Andrew Pike heads across the timing line, and we come up towards the end of the lap, and Pike finds time on that one. Andrew Pike, even with the slow cars in his way, Andrew Pike has placed himself into provisional pole position. That is exactly what Pike would have wanted, not what Isaac Doble, who sits just ahead of the racing on the racing track, would have wanted. He falls now to second position. And first-time watchers within the Pike family. We've got Liam and Shannon from Doncaster watching as well tonight. I hope you are enjoying the racing event, and what an event to come and watch for the first time, as Andrew Pike has found himself at the very front of the field here at the Watkins Glen circuit for round number 1. 3 races coming your way tonight, of course. First race is going to be gridded by this qualifying session. Your second race will see the top 15 reversed. And the third and final race, that's going to see your whole field inverted. And it is always full of mayhem, I would say, in some ways. Excellent racing, I will say, in another way. It's one to stick around with, so no matter where you're watching tonight, over on the Facebook, the YouTube, or the Twitch, make sure you stay around. It is going to be an evening full of excellent racing. Up towards turn number 1, we watch Adam Delmont. A little bit of a wobble on his rear end there. He has found Jamie Dory to pull him around the circuit at the moment. Both Dory and Delmont at the back end towards the top 10. In fact, Delmont out of the top 10 right now in this qualifying session. We see the top 15 all within 1 second of Andrew Pike at the front. A few of our pros falling towards the back of the field, including Ben Oucher here, who'll be hoping to find a little bit more pace as Kieran Sharp moves onto the front row of the grid alongside Andrew Pike and knocks Isaac Doble down into third position. Now, Oucher was able to take a victory in the Mazdas when we headed out in those. It was a one-race victory for him. Can he find his way to victory lane at some point this season? Right now, Watkins Glen not looking like one he'll be able to take a win in race 1. However, with the invert from the top 15 in race 2 and the full grid invert in race 3, absolutely anything can, and as we have seen, often does happen in race number 3. Up towards turn number 1. Forget what track limits are here. Welcome to the legends. We head around through turn number 1, completely off the circuit there, as Adam Delmont has gone from outside the top 10 onto provisional pole position. About a tenth of a second clear of Andrew Pike. Pike now down to second position, still on the front row, but Adam Delmont has found that time out of absolutely nowhere there. Pike dropping back a little bit here, potentially looking for somebody to work with, because there is nobody around and you just aren't going to find that time without some support. But what this does mean is him backing out here, he is going to have just 2 more opportunities at getting in a time good enough for pole position here as we head up through the final turn for Andrew Pike, and he gets a new lap underway without the toe in front of him. He does have a teammate behind him, trying to figure out who this is. It's the number 200 chasing down. That is Craig Twardock. Now, this actually looks like Pike is helping Twardock to pull him around rather than he is going for his own time lap here. Will there be a swap around for the final lap of asking? Now, that is a question worth asking, as Adam Delmont remains in that provisional pole. Will anyone else find time? Andrew Pike moves out the way. Through goes Craig Twardock a lot earlier in the lap than I thought they would have switched, to be totally honest with you. And now Pike actually goes to the inside of Twardock again, and they're running side by side. And there's contact. That's going to invalidate both of their laps there from the teammates. I wonder what the thinking was there, because that's now invalidated both of their laps and will mean Twardock is behind again, which means Pike does not have anyone pulling him along on the final lap of asking. It looks like it will still be a front row start for Pike if other drivers aren't able to find their way up towards the front of this field. And right now, 7 of our pro drivers take the 7 top spots. The remaining 4 pro drivers sprinkled throughout the field there. Alan McCain, though, put in a time good enough for first in class right at the beginning of this session, and he has continued to hold at the top of that field in the 212 machine, running there, giving his teammate a little bit of an advantage with the toe. And again, they go side by side, and Nick Clibbins backs down a bit as Steve Bird heard what I was saying and has decided to put himself into that pole position spot ahead of Alan McCain. And it's a little bit of an upside down parking lot through turn number 1. Can McCain find time enough to go past Steve Bird here on his final lap here in qualifying? This is going to set your grid for race number 1. We head up now through the final turn and up towards the timing line. And Alan McCain, is he going to find time to move past Stephen Bird? It's a 1:24.8, which is 0.6 of a second slower than his personal best. Other drivers then have managed to put in their times, and that looks like qualifying is going to come to a close here at Watkins Glen for the first time this season. Sam Smith, though, in the very last moment of asking, also gets past Alan McCain in that Pro-Am field and moves through into second in class, the position ahead of Alan McCain overall as well. Qualifying then is done here at Watkins Glen, and as the drivers will get themselves gridded, we will talk you through the grid for the first race of the day around this Watkins Glen circuit. And you can see already from qualifying how interesting it's going to be. The toe, it means everything. We are going to see drivers go 3 wide. I dare to say, even at points, drivers will peak for a 4 wide along the back straight. It is going to be interesting to see the different racing lines they take, especially into turn number 1. See who can come out on top on the first lap of asking, because we are going to see drivers head wide. We are going to see some drivers, I'm almost certain, stick onto the racing surface as well. And of course, if you do leave the racing track, it is up to you to rejoin safely, which means a driver does not necessarily have to give you the space to let you back on the track. If you've decided to leave the track, well, you are going to have to be the one to find a safe place to rejoin. Now, we are going to prepare ourselves for what is going to be 11 laps of asking here. Let's have a look at how our grid is going to stand here. For the first race of the day, Adam Delmont is going to start this one on pole position ahead of Andrew Pike. Kieran Sharp will start in 3rd, and Isaac Doble is in 4th position. Ned Wharton finds himself in 5th, and the fastest of the Pro-Ams, Stephen Bird, will find himself in 6th position. 7th position goes the way of Nick Clibbins. 8th for Jack Peters. Sam Smith will be in 9th position. Alan McCain in 10th position. Craig Twardock will be in 11th, ahead of Michael Clough. 13th position will go the way of Jamie Dory. Leslie Brazil will be in 14th. 15th will be for Nigel Stock. Sam Bradley in 16th. Adam Wilson-Weir will start this one in 17th, ahead of Lee Horn. 18th position. The 19th position will be for Ben Oucher, ahead of Jonathan Berry. Matt Gattel will start in 21st. Adrian Ruiz Hernandez will start in 22nd position, ahead of Phil McDougall. Carl Thompson will start in 24th. And that will be the rest of the field, as we have 24 drivers preparing to head out for the first race of the season. And they are out there on the track behind the trees. We can see just a couple of them past the RVs there. There they are, lined up along the back straight, preparing to get themselves green here. It is a rolling start, and they will roll around from this point on the racing surface. So just a couple of corners to get themselves warmed up and ready before we head down into turn number 1. And it is going to be 11 laps, as I say, of racing action for the first 2 races here. Adam Delmont will start on the inside line. That's the left-hand side of your TVs or your screens, whatever you're watching on. Andrew Pike will be starting on the outside of turn 1. That's the right-hand side of our screens in the 57 machine there. Right, the pace truck has begun. Our drivers have started to roll around the circuit. And as you can see, a little bit of tyre warming in the background there from Ben Oucher, who was just trying to get a little bit of heat into his tyres. We prepare then for the start of this one as we head up towards the final turn. Adam Delmont will lead the way ahead of Andrew Pike. They run side by side through the final turn, and is Kieran Sharp in 3rd position just behind Delmont. We prepare for the launch here up towards the start of this one. The green flag is waving, and away we go up towards turn 1. Delmont holds the inside line as we go 2 by 2 at the front. Will we stay that way as they get through the first turn? They do. Drivers pushing for different racing lines will have to get on nice and cleanly, and they certainly have done so. Kieran Sharp has found his way up into 3rd position. Pike has fallen down to 5th on the start of this one. As we go through the S's, there's pushing on the right-hand side and an accident in the background as cars go around. Ben Oucher, Adam Wilson-Weir and Phil McDougall involved in that one, and they will have to recover in the early stages of this race. Up to the hairpin for the first time, and Nick Clibbins looks to try and take the lead in this race from 6th on the grid here. On lap number 1, it's going to go 3 wide, mid-corner there, and they will all fight it out as we might even go 4 wide for the race lead here on the opening lap of the race. Now it settles down 2 by 2 as we go into the penultimate lap. A little bit of a wobble there from the 23 of Kieran Sharp. Craig Twardock has managed to make his way towards the front as well, but it is a gaggle of cars towards the front trying to do anything they can to get it towards the very front of this field. Adam Delmont from pole position has fallen down, and it's an accident along the timing line, and around goes Delmont, and over goes the 50 machine and up into the air. We see more drivers involved as cars are over and broken in that one. We see a safety car deployed here as we calm it down, as we get this one under safety car in the early stages. Let's get that timer. I don't know why it's time. It is laps there as we go under caution here around the Watkins Glen circuit. It was a very big accident out of the final turn. It was the 200 of Craig Twardock that spun initially, and it was contact with Clibbins into Delmont. That was the initial part of the contact there. This was then Delmont and over it's at the 65 or the 56. I lost the car number there. And look at that, the 14 as well just goes over in all of that huge accident. I think it might have been the 65 of Isaac Doble who ended up upside down. It was Isaac Doble who ended up upside down on the outside, as then there was another car as well that rolled over, and over the top of Doble, it was the 14 of Matt Gatter who ended up over the top of Doble. Let's see if we can get a view from Isaac Doble's there as we head up towards the timing line. There's the initial bit of contact between the 200 and Clibbins there. Delmont around and into Isaac Doble, who just goes up and over. But for Doble, the ordeal's not over. He settles himself, ready to go, and there's a car on top of him. What could have been what could have been over and done with certainly wasn't, as that race continued. A huge amount of accident coming in together there, but drivers settled themselves down here under the safety car for the first time tonight, or the safety truck we should say. And as Max says over there, what a chaotic race and a combo. It certainly is. These races always create absolutely fantastic racing, and of course 2 fast repairs for drivers to use, which means those that were involved in the accident have found their way down pit lane and are back out again, looking to try and do something in a second run around here. Kieran Sharp is the man out at the very front of the field here after the first lap of asking until that safety car came out, up 2 places from his starting point. Ned Wharton holds on to second. He started in 5th in this one. And Jamie Dory, he started 9th. He has found his way all the way to 4th. Andrew Pike, though, down 1 position off of the line, starting on the front row. However, he did drop it right at the very start of the lap, and that definitely looks like he saved it, really, with dropping down the positions. It kept him out of the accident that was Craig Twardock and Nick Clibbins, of course, who was the initial contact that lent into that accident. Oh, Alan McCain there. Black flag for him. Was that a pit? It was speeding into pit lane there for Alan McCain, who comes down pit lane to get his car repaired as well. And we'll get that one fixed up. But back towards the front of the field. Then we are under caution, but the lights are off on the safety truck, which means that we will be going green this time around, which will be for the final 7 laps of asking. This is only the first race of the day, I will remind you all. 3 races coming your way, 2 of them running around on 11 laps. That final race with a full inverted grid is just a little bit longer, and will probably look at being about 16 or even 17 laps of asking. Now we head up towards the end, towards the end of the first long straight as we slowly crawl our way around the circuit, and these legends warm their tyres up. And of course I'm talking about the drivers, not just the cars, as they prepare for the racing here. Stephen Bird, he holds on to the lead of the Pro-Am field. Michael Clough has moved his way up into second, but Adrian Hernandez is up 7 class positions from the start of this race. He finds himself 9th overall, 4th in class, and just off of Sam Bradley, looking for a potential podium here in his first race as well. So let's find out what they can do as the safety truck will peel off the racing track this time around, and we will get going once again as we are sure to see close racing, just as we did before the safety car was called out for that accident along the pit straight. Funnily enough, it is normally the straights in which the legends do have accidents in the corners. They seem to run quite well. Right, up towards the final turn we go. The pace truck is going to pull off, and Kieran Sharp is going to be the man who pulls us away from the start of the restart. Here we go. Kieran Sharp pulls away at the front ahead of Ned Wharton. Andrew Pike following behind her in 3rd. And we already go side by side as Jonathan Berry goes up the inside of Lee Horn, looking to make it 3 wide into turn number 1. They've got enough space to do that, of course, as we push out wide towards the wall on the outside. And what was a nice launch at the front of the field for Sharp is going into a battle as Ned Wharton is directly behind. He is fully aware that Sharp's teammate Pike is just behind as well and chasing down. Steve Bird gets past Jamie Dory as that was Kieran Sharp around. I think there's been some contact with the slipstream. Bump driving these machines, you can do it, but you have to be incredibly sensible. And we're going to have to find out what happened here to Kieran Sharp if we can, as it has been a nudge from Ned Wharton, and it sent Kieran Sharp, the race leader, spinning into the wall. As Hernandez looking to try and hold off the pro drivers behind. He's got a huge collection of cars chasing him down. Andrew Pike is now into the lead of this race as we go side by side through the final turn in the bottom end of the top 10 here, and it is going to be Jonathan Berry, who's just falling down the order here with the drivers passing on his inside up towards turn number 1, and once again we go 3 wide through turn 1. This time Berry, instead of being on the inside, is stuck on the outside line, and this is the group of cars that are trying to keep it together. 3 drivers just scrape the walls in the background there. We had a little bit of a nudge as we tried to go through, and another accident, and once again Craig Twaddle's caught up in it, and a huge wreck, and the 774 just finds himself rolling down the field. That was Carl Thompson. Gets himself around here. Will they sort themselves out? It is a huge collection of cars trying to get themselves sorted, facing back the right way. It doesn't look like any of them have got race-ending damage somehow there, as we go back up towards the front here, as Jamie Dorey has invited himself into the fight for the lead here. Goes to the inside of Andrew Pike. Is going to swap around to Pike's position once again on the other side, as Ned Wharton looks to try to get that inside line as they run side by side up towards turn number 1. A big nudge there from Stephen Bird. Bird is leading the Pro-Ams here, but he has a real chance of getting an overall race win as he moves into 3rd past Jamie Dorey through turn number 1. Stephen Bird is pushing it hard in that Pro-Am field right now as Pittas moves past Adrian Hernandez behind as well. As Hernandez and Jonathan Berry are now side by side for 2nd in class. There's a little bit of a nudge between the both of them, and the 19 is around Hernandez. He gains 7 class positions, but he finds himself into the wall here. Back up towards the front of the field. Jamie Dorey on the outside line, trying to get back past Stephen Bird, but can't do it. That's Nick Clibbins just behind as well, looking out towards this fight ahead. Andrew Pike and Ned Wharton go side by side, and Bird goes to the lead of the race. Stephen Bird, the Pro-Am driver, has just found his way to the very front of the field. Andrew Pike and Ned Wharton still running side by side in their fight for what is now 2nd position. Across the timing line we go, and Pike's back into the lead with the toe. Wharton trying to push in, follow through, can't quite do it. Through turn number 1 they go, just stretching all of the limits they possibly can, especially there from Bird, who ran all the way up towards the wall. This is the 5-car fight for the overall race lead, and it is in with the mix of that 88 machine, the Pro-Am leader. Dorey touches Ned Wharton on the bottom there to push up towards the hairpin, as Bird does the same to Andrew Pike on the outside. Clibbins just weaving behind. He doesn't want to get too close to the fight ahead because he knows something is going to happen, and he is going to try and take advantage of that. Wharton flies through into the lead of the race. Pike holds on to 2nd, Dorey in 3rd. Stephen Bird in 4th position. It could be once again side by side at the front of this one, with Pike to the inside of Wharton up towards the penultimate turn here. It is side by side. Wharton holds the wider line though. Dorey and Bird still side by side behind as well. Back onto the racing line comes Ned Wharton. Of course, you can push out as wide as you want around this circuit. It's the great thing about this track. Now up the inside goes Andrew Pike to try and regain the lead here, as a big push on the inside line. Dorey into Bird, into Wharton, but Pike holds that speed. But Pike goes around, no! Andrew Pike spins from the lead of the race, gets it back going again. We'll have to find the speed. Is down in 5th position and has Jack Pittas here chasing on, looking to try and get that position, and he does so. A shame there for Andrew Pike, who will have to try again in race number 2. Isaac Doble is towards Magnusfield after that earlier accident. It looks like he's got into more issues with that front end damage. He is chasing, down Adam Wilson-Weir and Leslie Brazil here outside of the top 10. 15th position, I think. I need to get that to display overall and not class positions, so I know who on earth we're looking at. But this is pushing here from Isaac Doble, trying to push past Adam Wilson-Weir on the inside. Doble will have to drop behind. It was pushing Leslie Brazil there. Brazil will hold on to that position for now. Back up towards the front fight, and these are your leading 4 drivers as they head on to the penultimate lap of asking, and Stephen Bird once again is looking to try and not just take a class victory, but take an overall victory. And I know Jamie Dory has got his notepad out there in 3rd position, just noting down that Stephen Bird might not be a Pro-Am for much longer, as he is very much within this fight and showing his pace. How is he going to do in the remaining 2 races this evening? It is wait to find out. But right now, how is it going to go with a lap and a half left around the Watkins Glen circuit? It is 2 by 2 at the front of this field, with Wharton and Bird on the inside, Dory and Clibbins on the outside. Clibbins just not pushing Dory as much, doesn't want to get involved in this early stage. He's still, I think, just waiting for something to happen in front that he can benefit from. Pike has got back past Jonathan Berry, moves into 5th overall, as here comes Jamie Dory into the middle, and that was Ned Wharton backing out of the fight. Stephen Bird, however, is taking the fight to Jamie Dory as we come through the final turn. It's a slide from Jamie Dory. Just a small one on the back end, but he has lost a tiny amount of time there. It's not going to matter too much with the slipstream. Is he going to go for the move up towards turn number 1? No, they stay single file through turn 1, and Stephen Bird, it's the leader's curse through turn 1. Stephen Bird goes around, and will that be class position to Jonathan Berry? It is. Jonathan Berry takes the lead in the Pro-Am field, but it's back to the fight at the front of this one. It is Nick Clibbins at the front. He's just stayed behind all race long, watching, knowing something was going to happen, and he is using it to his advantage now. Clibbins in the lead, ahead of Jamie Dory. Ned Wharton behind in 3rd position. Dory going for the tighter exit here, looking for the speed. They all push wide, and Clibbins doesn't want Dory on his inside. Dory goes to the outside. Wharton backs off slightly. Is he going to make it 3 wide? No. He looks to follow Clibbins through. Clibbins gets the speed. He just needs to get the final corner done right. And Nick Clibbins, sitting behind all race long, will take the victory here at Watkins Glen. Who will take 2nd? It's Jamie Dory and Ned Wharton. Pike will take 4th. Pittas will take 5th, and Jonathan Berry takes 6th, and the winning class, Stephen Bird, losing out at the end. Adam Delmont takes 8th in this one, ahead of Craig Twardock. Alan McCain comes home across the line. It's a fight to the line between Stock and Oucher, and it went the way of Stock in the end. And what a race that one was. Absolutely fantastic as our last drivers come across the line. Race number 1 is done, but in no way are our races over tonight. We still have 2 more races coming your way. What a fantastic result, and let's get our final results from that one in race number 1 here around the Watkins Glen circuit. Nick Clibbins took home victory in the end by 65 hundredths of a second over Jamie Dorey. Dorey holding on to second by just 22 hundredths over Ned Wharton. Andrew Pike spinning from the lead, came home in fourth. Added Jack Pitters in fifth. Jonathan Berry took home the win in the Pro-Am field ahead of Stephen Bird. Bird also spinning from the lead of the race. Adam Delmont came home in eighth ahead of Craig Twaddock, and Alan McCain took home the top 10 and a third position in class. Nigel Stock came home in 11th ahead of Ben Oucher. Kieran Sharp came home in 13th position ahead of Adam Wilson-Weir. Sam Smith finished in 15th with Isaac Doble after rolling his car. He came home in 16th. Leslie Brazil home in 17th ahead of Matt Gatter. Michael Clough in 19th ahead of Phil McDougall. Lee Horn took home 21st position in the end. Adrian Hernandez a lap down along with Sam Bradley, and Carl Thompson out of the race 5 laps before the end. Race number 1 then done and dusted. As I say, 2 more races left to go. But before we get on to that one, I will see if there is, if we're able to pull anyone in here following that amazing race. And in fact, almost everyone was involved in an accident in that one that's available, but I will actually pull down Ned Wharton here. Ned, you finished that one in 3rd position. It was a race-long fight for the win. How do you feel about it? Ooh, I can't hear you at the moment, Ned. Give me 1 second. I'll see if we can figure this out for you. As always, there's something going on with our audio. We'll try that one again. Can we hear you now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Ned. How was that one for you?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I didn't expect to be fighting for such a good result, like top podium on my debut race. But obviously, luck went in my favour, and I found myself in the top 3. I left it a little bit late at the end. We're playing like silly games, trying to get to the back of the slipstream, so then drive past each other to the line, but I left it too late.
As I say, you were fighting up there at the front. We saw you back out going up towards the final lap. Was that all about, you know, you needed to be behind for the slipstream?
Yeah, you don't want to be leading, but, well, normally you don't want to be leading, but in this case it turned out to be good to lead. But as you can see, going up to the line, we all closed in so much. I reckon if the finish line was another 100 or 200 metres up the roads, it would have been completely different.
Right, does mean then you'll be starting the reversed grid for race number 2 in about 13th position. How do you feel about that? There's obviously a lot of accidents in that one. Do you think you can move through?
Exactly. Well, hopefully people will have learnt a little bit about what to and not to do after that first race. So we'll see if there's another big crash. But after seeing what happened on the straight at the end of the first lap, yeah, anything can happen. I think I could either finish last or get a win.
All right, well, good luck for race number 2, Ned, and well done on your podium.
Thank you very much.
Ned Wharton there finishing in 3rd position overall and in that pro class. Race number 2 then is going to come your way very, very shortly, so make sure you don't go anywhere. But you do have your drinks and your popcorn ready, because if race 1 was anything to go by, the inverted grid from the top 15 is just going to make this one even more interesting. We will be back in about 5 minutes' time as we prepare for race number 2. We'll see you then. Hello, welcome back here to the NXTGEN Racing's Legend Series for the 4th season of competition. We prepare for the second race of the night around the Watkins Glen circuit. There are still spaces available if you want to get involved, which I don't know who wouldn't after seeing that first race of the night. So make sure that you head across to the NXTGEN Racing's Discord page, which is available through links over on the YouTube and the Facebook streams. It's also available through the QR code available here as well, or just search up NXTGEN over on Facebook or YouTube. Now, these spaces are going to go very, very quickly, I'm sure, after tonight, so don't hesitate. Get yourself signed up. These races are going to be racing every other Tuesday when the NXTGEN's Touring Car Series, the NXTCC, is not on, so it's going to be running in parallel with that. So make sure that you get yourself signed up and come and visit us every single Tuesday, where we will see a variety of racing, the Touring Cars one week and the Legends the following week, and we are preparing for our second race of asking. Another 11 laps have been dialed onto that lap counter, and the top 15 have been shuffled around, which means that our race winner of Nick Clibbins is going to find himself in 15th position in this race from the start. Now, of course, we are going to see a number of overtakes. Are we going to see another issue where we did on the front straight before, or even on the back straight where we saw a number of accidents happen as well? Of course, any driver can find themselves working up the order, just as we saw drivers falling back down the order, including Isaac Doble. He started that race in 4th, ended up outside of the top 10, and will be hoping to do something with the second race of the night. We still have 2 more races to go. If you are enjoying watching any of this race, if you're over on the Facebook, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, you follow the NXTGEN Facebook page, and share the stream as well with your family and friends. If you're watching over on the NXTGEN YouTube channel, make sure you hit that thumbs up button as well. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. You'll be notified when we go live every single week for the variety of broadcasts. And if you're watching over on the Twitch channel, make sure you hit that follow button as well, so you're notified when we go live multiple times throughout the week over here on the Twitch channel. Now, we are going to get ourselves down onto the racing surface here, because we have about 45 seconds until our drivers will begin gridding up for the second race of the day. Now, once again, it is going to be a rolling start for our drivers. They'll have a couple of corners to get their tyres up to temperature before they go racing down to turn number 1. Now, of course, the first time we saw anything major happen was along the front straight, but there was an incident through the S's on the opening lap as well. So let's see if drivers are able to keep it clean in race number 2. There has been an advisory comment from Jamie Dory along those that saying, please try to hold lines, otherwise it will end in an RIP. So let's make sure that we don't have any more flipping cars for the drivers' sakes. For our sakes, we say bring it on. We had a lot of fun in that one. I'm sure we will in that the next one as well. As race number 2 is about to begin. Warm-up is over here, and drivers will take their grid spots for this second race of the day. Another 11 laps, like I say, on the board. So let's have a little look at how this grid is going to start out. And we are going to see Sam Smith at the front of the field alongside Adam Wilson. We're Kieran Sharp. He was spun in that one. He's going to find himself on the second row and in with a chance to take the victory. He's going to have Ben Oucher just behind, however. Then you've got Nigel Stock. He'll be starting this one in 5th ahead of Alan McCain in 6th position. 7th is going to go the way of Craig Twaddock. 8th for Adam Dalmont ahead of Steve Bird. Jonathan Berry will start this one in 10th. Jack Pitters will start in a 11th position ahead of Andrew Pike. 12th position will go, for Andrew Pike. 13th position will go the way of Ned Wharton. Jamie Doyle will start in 14th. And Nick Clibbins, our race 1 winner, will start in 15th. Isaac Doble just missing out on the invert. Will have a lot to do from 16th place on the grid. Leslie Brazil will start this one in 17th ahead of Matt Gatter. Michael Clough will start in 19th. ahead of Phil McDougall. Lee Horn will start this one in 21st position ahead of Adrian Hernandez. And Sam Bradley will be at the back of the field for the second race of the day. I hope you guys are ready and you have got yourselves your drinks and your popcorns for this next race, and you are ready for another 11 laps, about 15 minutes of pure racing action. Will we need to see that safety truck out on circuit again in race number 2? We saw it in race 1, and we saw a number of massive accidents, but obviously the one that took out the majority of the field at the along the pitch straight is where we saw the lights go back on that pace truck, and he came out of pit lane to slow all of our cars down and prepare them for a restart, and it allowed all our drivers to get back up into the field again. Of course, some of them then dropped back with more issues, but will we see anyone take an approach like Ben Altria did to warming up his tyres in race number 1, where he just wheel spun it off of the line completely to try and get some temp into his tyres? Not so much this time. There is a little bit of wheel spinning going in there, a little bit of smoke kicking up, but Ben Oucher certainly showing us how to do it in race number 1. Not as much this time, but that is weaving from Sam Bradley at the back of the field, just trying to find a little bit of pace, and we are going to get our formation lap underway here, and we prepare to go racing. Sam Smith will start this one on the very front of the field, and it's going to be Adam Wilson-Weir behind. The flag is in the air as we prepare to go green for the second time tonight, and the green flag is out, and already we have drivers trying to go 3 wide up towards turn number 1 for the lead of the race. We are going to go 3 wide. Twadok, look for the inside. There's contact behind, but it does look like everyone has come out of that one without going the wrong way somehow. But it is Adam Wilson-Weir who has moved to the very front of the field. Contact behind. 3 drivers involved in that one, and another one collected into the wall. That was looks like Phil McDougall, Alan McCain and Nigel Stock, and I think Andrew Pike involved in that as well, which is a shame for the man who could have taken win in the first one. This is up towards the front though, and it goes 4 wide for the lead. Settles back down to 3 wide here as we get into the hairpin as drivers go for alternate lines. Craig Twadok has moved into the lead of the race. It's Wharton and Dalmont fighting out for second. Ned Wharton has done a great job on this invert. Started this one in 13th position and is going for the lead once more. He's on the outside here. Adam Dalmont's to the inside. Dalmont was taken out of the fight for the lead on the opening lap of the race. And Wharton goes sideways. Twadok's around. And that is Ned Wharton after a great launch. Slams into the wall. Adam Dalmont, though, leading the way as the rest of the field come up through. Ben Oucher has also found himself tumbling down the field as well, and once again is showing the time when I want to show the laps. There we go, across the timing line as Kieran Sharp moves up past Sam Smith here to move into what will be 4th position. As Adam Wilson-Weir will actually regain past Adam Dalmont. Dalmont's gone a slightly wide line turn 1. Wilson-Weir went for the tighter line. It does mean they go side by side for the fight at the front as Jack Peters here is just behind, and once again it is 3 wide, but this time this 3 wide is 2 rows deep. Will they sort themselves out before the corner? They certainly do. That inside line of Adam Wilson-Weir and Sam Smith back out the front of it of Kieran Sharp and Isaac Doble, who started this one in 16th on the grid. Move up the order and go to first and second right now. Dalmont, though, fighting with Doble. Doble, very wide line there. Will come back onto the racing surface for the fight for the lead. But right now, Dalmont and Sharp are the 2 that are side by side up towards the end of the lap as Dalmont's through. Sharp under attack here from Isaac Doble as the train of drivers behind just try to see if there's anything they can do about gaining their own positions there. Sam Smith holding on to second in class right now behind Adam Wilson-Weir across the timing line. The field of drivers go, and that is Jack looking to get up the inside of Isaac Doble into turn number 1, and it turns out the inside of Kieran Sharp as well. And it looks like he is going to be able to hold on to second, but right now Sharp has got some speed on the exit. So we'll regain that for now, but it is constantly changing. The places that they get this speed is constantly shifting and alternating. It is making it, it just constantly changing at the front, and it's great to watch. Isaac Doble, for example, fighting for the lead before, down to 5th now. Here comes Jack Peters, so Peters is looking to get through around the outside, won't be able to, sorry, up the inside, won't be able to do it. Adam Wilson-Weir was stuck in the middle in the 022 machine, as Adam Delmont once again moves back into the lead, and here comes Kieran Sharp to re-fight for that position right now, constantly changing as Sharp is directly behind Delmont into the penultimate turn of Asking, as Pittas there in second position is looking to once again get up the inside of Adam Delmont, and it looks like he is going to be able to do so. Can he hold the overlap? No, he can't. He settles back down right now, as so does the field behind, but once again he sees that opportunity open up towards turn 1, and he is not going to hang around and wait. He gets the inside line. Adam Delmont pushing the extreme wide line. Where's he going to appear? There he is, going to reappear, but it is behind Isaac Doble. Now Doble and Delmont are side by side, something I said so often during the Mazdas. Will it become a frequent occurrence here in the Legends? A lot closer racing in this one than the Mazdas. A little bit of a wobble there from Doble, just a little bit of the touch on the bumpers. You can do it, but you have got to be very careful in how you push for the bump draft. Adam Wilson-Weir there, left without any support, as both Pittas and Doble move across to the left-hand side of the racing track, and we go through the hairpin now, and we come out of the back end of the course and up towards the end of the lap, and somehow we're coming up to the end of lap number 4 already without a safety car. This one feels like it is going to go extremely quickly as we continue to watch the fight at the very front of this field, being led right now by Jack Pittas. Isaac Doble in second, no, down a third, back up to second. It's side by side with Delmont right now. Sharp and Wilson-Weir were side by side for a moment, but Sharp now looking to push Delmont on that outside. Delmont looks to the inside to regain the lead as they continuously change positions. It's wide from Delmont, and Jack Pittas goes back through, and who was that? Hard into the wall there, because someone's just hit the wall. I think it was Stephen Bird and Adam Wilson-Weir. It looks like they've come together. Adam Wilson-Weir was facing the wrong way. What has happened here between the two of them? It's a wobble from Wilson-Weir, and it is a huge hit from him into the tyre wall. Stephen Bird is going to have to get himself straight up again, but once again Bird's race has fallen backwards again, but this time a mistake from Wilson-Weir causing that for him. Sam Smith now the leader of the Pro-Ams as Jack moves back into the lead past Adam Delmont. Isaac Doble's there, Kieran Sharp looking to get involved. Sharp stays on the racing surface, gives enough room for those coming back on. Of course, he has no requirement to give them room, but there was almost certainly going to be contact if he didn't. Delmont to the inside here through the penultimate turns. You've got Clibbins and the leader of the Prime class, Sam Smith, the two teammates just behind as well. They can see this side-by-side fight for the lead going on. Delmont on the outside once more, holds on to it yet again as we come up towards the timing line. And yet again, Jack Pittas here going to the inside of turn number 1. Clibbins gets in a purple and is closing in to this fight at the front. It's a huge slide there for Adam Delmont, but he holds on to it. But Isaac Doble now has moved into second position, and here comes Nick Clibbins to try and get himself involved in this fight ahead of him that he can see. Sharp to the left-hand side is going to almost drop out of this fight as Clibbins is going to run to the right-hand side. Whoa, that was a big moment there from Kieran Sharp to go defensive, and Clibbins Clibbins actually had to hit the brakes. You heard him come off. He hit the brakes there to avoid any contact with Kieran Sharp, and Clibbins is not going to be happy with that. Of course, Clibbins looking to try and take potentially back-to-back race victories in the first 2 races of the day. However, up front, it is still side by side, and Delmont is stuck on the outside line here to Isaac Doble as they come through the penultimate turn. It will swap away and back into Delmont's move to the inside of the final turn, and they swap back over, and Delmont is back into second position ahead of Isaac Doble, Kieran Sharp in 4th, and Nick Clibbins still looking on from behind, just seeing what he could potentially do about this fight. Delmont to the inside of turn number 1, moves back into the lead as Sharp and Doble now fight behind, and Delmont had a great turn 1 there, but here comes Pittas again to the inside. It will turn to the outside, and it is still side by side with Isaac Doble coming in. Now Sam Smith is in 4th because I believe Nick Clibbins has had an issue with Kieran Sharp towards turn number 1. What happened there through turn 1? Sharp was to the inside of Doble. It's a wobble into the wall, and is it an issue then? No, it just looks like Clibbins had his own issue there. He wasn't involved in Kieran Sharp's mistake at all, but it has allowed Sam Smith through. It looks like Ben Oucher might have had some sort of issue up towards turn number 1 as well. He's lost the rear end in a big jump into the air, and he keeps it out of the barrier and will need to recover. He's in 15th position right now. Of course, race number 3, we are going to see a full invert, and right now that would put Adam Wilson-Weir onto that pole position spot ahead of Adrian Hernandez. Right, up towards the timing line once more, and yet again it is side by side for the race lead, but this time Isaac Doble decides not to push really anyone. He stays behind, looking to see what he can do, and what he can do is get to the inside of Jack Pitters there for 3rd position, and Doble will now fight for Delmont on the lead of this race as they run side by side through the S's. It will switch back across in Doble's favour, and Doble is going to get the push here. Is Sam Smith going to push anyone in this fight? No, he stays very much to the left, and Delmont now falls slightly behind, will not be able to fight with Doble, and has to drop in behind the leading 2 drivers as well, as Nick Clibbins flies past Sam Smith, who lets him through, and he is back into this fight for the podium, which now includes 4 drivers once more, with Jack Pitters leading the way ahead of Isaac Doble, and it is going to be Adam Delmont there as well. Are we going to see it 3 wide? No, we're not, as Doble comes back on. He's now side by side with Nick Clibbins. Pitters is to the inside of Delmont and looking to try and regain the race lead once more. It's going to go the way of Delmont through the final turn as it cuts across, and Adam Delmont will lead yet again across the timing line, this time going on to 3 laps to go here. But once again, we look for the race lead up towards turn number 1 as Pitters to the inside of Delmont, and there is more than enough room between them now as Delmont goes very wide once again, and yet again it's allowed Isaac Doble to just take that 2nd position. Yes, running wide gives you the speed on the exit, but the initial speed, it doesn't help you out with how far you run. And once again, Doble and Pitters are working together. This time on the outside line, Delmont has not been hung out completely to dry though. Does have the push of Nick Clibbins behind, but they do not quite have the same amount of work going on here as Pitters and Doble. Now remember, Nick Clibbins stayed behind until the very last lap of asking, where he then moved from, you guessed it, 4th position to the lead of the race. Can he do something similar here as we head up towards the penultimate lap of asking? This race has felt pretty much like we've just watched the lead fight go around, but it has been incredibly close all race long between these 5 drivers, as Sam Smith, yet another Pro-Am driver, getting themselves involved in the overall fight as well, and with anything and everything that can and does happen in races like these, Smith certainly still has a chance to win. Now, Doble leads across the timing line onto the penultimate lap. Dalmont to the inside once more. This time, Dalmont's going to run that tighter line as Doble runs a wider line. It's 3 wide as they come back onto the circuit, but Doble is going to have to drop behind. Dalmont is going to be able to hold on to it right now and regain the lead of the race as well. He carried more speed there than Jack Pittas did as Doble is trying to run on that wider line. It's not going to work because he doesn't have anyone pushing him along. You've got Jack and Adam working together on that inside line. Now Jack moves to the left-hand side. Dalmont, though, going to hold the inside line as we come up towards the final lap of the race. That was a back marker just up ahead. Is he going to play a part in this fight, as it is Adam Wilson-Weir in the 022 machine who will be getting the race 3 pole position with the full grid invert. Through the final turn, Adam Dalmont here will lead the way as we go onto the white flag lap. Isaac Doble has dropped back just a little bit. Could be under attack here from Nick Clemens, but right now it is the fight at the front. Dalmont and Pittas that we need to look at, and it's a spin for Wilson-Weir, and it is going to be collection from Nick Clemens and from Jack Pittas in that one, with Wilson-Weir going around. I said, will the back marker have an effect on the fight for the win? The answer is yes. A massive effect there as Adam Wilson-Weir loses the rear end. He's on the brakes, you can tell he's on the brakes, but it just wasn't enough to keep his car from sliding, and a big hit there. It's not all over and done with here, as Doble is going to get the toe. It's Doble and Dalmont once again. It's a battle for the ages, and Isaac Doble looks to the inside of Adam Dalmont. Dalmont has been able to hold that outside line and turn it into the inside through the final turn all race long. Doble does not back out of it though, and for the second race in a row we're going to have a drag race to the line. Who is going to come out on top? I can't tell. Oh my word, it's Isaac Doble by 1/1000th of a second! By 1/1000th! Isaac Doble wins race number 2. Sam Smith takes an overall podium and first in class. As the rest of the fights come through, it took a while for the sim to register who actually won that one due to it being so close, but Isaac Doble wins the overall race by 1/1000th of a second in the end, as Sam Bradley and Jamie Dory fight it out up towards the final turn. Dory's going to be on the inside of Bradley here. Through the final turn they go. Dory's going to find the speed on the exit, and Jamie Dory is going to hold on to 18th position there. That was absolutely incredible. I'm just going to see if we can get back once more to this fight. Through the end, Isaac Doble and Adam Dalmont coming up here towards the timing line, and we're going to see if we can get a view that sort of allows us to see how close it was here, because Isaac Doble and Adam Dalmont race number 2. I mean, race number 3, race number 1, sorry, we thought was close, but I don't think, well, unless they tied, you cannot get any closer than that. The 65 machine winning by 1/1000th of a second over Adam Dalmont. What a way to end race number 2. Let's get Let's get our race results from that one so we can see the full order of the drivers at the end of race number 2 here. Isaac Doble wins by 1/1000th of a second ahead of Adam Delmont. Sam Smith took home 3rd position. Kieran Sharp, and first in class, we should say. Kieran Sharp took home 4th with Nick Clibbins and 5th. Stephen Bird took home 2nd in class once more. Ned Wharton took home 7th out of Lee Horn, and Jack Pittas, who came home in 9th in the end after that contact on the last lap with Adam Wilson-Witt. Michael Croft came home in 10th position and 3rd in class. 11th went the way of went the way of Craig Twardock. Jonathan Berry came home in 12th. Nigel Stock in 13th ahead of Ben Oucher. Andrew Pike came home in 15th ahead of Alan McCain. Matt Gatter in 17th ahead of Jamie Dory and Sam Bradley. And Phil McDougall rounded out your top 20. Adrian Ruiz Hernandez came home in 21st ahead of Adam Wilson-Weir. And Leslie Brazil finished that one in 23rd position. Now, I think it is only right that we see if we can have a word with the man who won that one by just 1/1000th of a second. Isaac, race number 1 did not go your way. You started in 16th, but you managed to find your way to the very front, even if it was only by a hair.
Yeah, I mean, that was such an amazing race there at the front. It's a shame at turn 1 there was an incident on the last lap, because that would have been mega with all of us going for the win, but we didn't fail to put up a good show there at the end on the last lap, only like 0.001 or whatever. So yeah, it was a great race.
Yeah, 1/1000th of a second. I genuinely, it took a while for the system to recognise that you had won that one. It was so close. Yeah, you didn't have the best of race ones. Yeah, in fact, rolling over, getting a car landed on top of you. It turned around in race 2, but with the full invert, it means you're going to be starting the next one from the back of the field. Do you think you can make your way back through like you did on that one?
Yeah, well, honestly, in this, anything could happen. You can win from any place with the slipstream here. I've hopes I should be able to get to the front by the end of the race and see where I end up.
Well, good luck for you with that one. Of course, you're off the back of a Mazda League victory. It's going to be interesting. As you say, anyone can win from anywhere. I think that stands for quite a lot of the circuits we go through this season as well. So how are you feeling? Do you think you could take another championship?
I'll try my best, but I think it's going to be about consistency, really. Not getting caught up in too many of the big crashes that might happen and trying to accumulate as much points as possible.
Right, well done for your win here, Isaac, and good luck for the inverted race 3.
Thank you.
Isaac Doble there, coming home a victor by just 1/1000th of a second. And as he mentioned, it all came to a head on that last lap. Of course, lap 1 accident. Unfortunate that took out what could have been a four-car fight for the lead. Came down to the 2-car fight, but it was a great fight to watch. Race number 3, your long race of the evening. It's going to be about 17 laps of asking. It's going to be in the way in about 5 minutes' time. So make sure that you've refilled your drinks, you've refilled your popcorn, because we're going to have a full inverted grid. Our drivers at the front are going to find themselves all the way at the very back, and vice versa. So don't go anywhere. Race number 3 is coming up in about 5 minutes' time. We'll catch you then. welcome back here to the Next Gen Racing's Ford Legends Series for season number 4. We are here at the first round of Asking at Watkins Glen. 2 races have already happened tonight, and they have been absolutely brilliant to watch. Race number 1 went with a 3-car fight to the line. We thought it couldn't get any closer, but race number 2 proved us wrong, as we only had 1/1000th of a second separating Isaac Doble from winning the race to Adam Dalmont, who came home in second. Race number 3 then, and we are going to see a full inverted grid for this one, which means our drivers at the back are going to find themselves all the way at the front for this one, and vice versa, which means drivers such as Nick Clibbins, who won race number 1, who was there towards the front in race number 2, is going to find himself all the way at the back here in the final race of Asking. There's going to be a lot on the line. But as we spoke to Isaac Doble after race number 2, anyone can win from any position in this series, especially around a circuit like tonight where it's all about slipstream. Track limits almost disregarded as well. So if you're watching in any of the 3 channels, then welcome in tonight. I've been seeing lots of people throughout the night, and some that I have missed throughout night as well. We've got Aula Tufu watching around. We got over on the Twitch, you got Wetness Stein watching on the Facebook as well, both making comments of the size of the safety car in comparison to the Fords in race number 1. And you are absolutely right. They genuinely were diddy in comparison to the safety car, well, the safety truck, we should say. We also had Edward Radfish watching over on the Twitch as well, and Slugger over there as well. So welcome on to all of you watching over on any of the channels and over on YouTube as well. Hello there to Metal Bomb 269 watching tonight over on the YouTube channel. And if you're watching on any of the channels, make sure you're hitting those likes, those follows, subscribes, whatever they might be on each of those 3 individual platforms, that you're notified when we go live in these races. And if these Ford Legends is an event that you have absolutely loved watching tonight and you want to dabble your hands in it, well, wait no longer, because the spaces are going quickly, but there are still a few spaces left in this series, and you can do that by heading across to the Next Gen Racing's Discord page and getting yourself signed up. Like right now, do it right now, because you don't want to miss out, and these spaces are going to fill up quick after what we've seen tonight. So yeah, head across to the Discord and get yourself involved over there. But here around the Watkins Glen circuit, we are preparing our final race of the evening with a fully inverted field, a slightly longer race at play as well, which means drivers are going to have just that little bit longer to think about how they want to move through this field, especially those such as Nick Clibbins and Isaac Doble, both taking a win so far in the overall races. Of course, over in the Pro-Ams, where you got Jonathan Berry, he won the first Pro-Am race of the season at race 1 here. And race number 2, outweighing the way of Sam Smith. Smith also getting an overall podium with the issues for those ahead of him as well. And we will see if Stephen Bird is able to find his way to a Pro-Am victory after issues in both race 1 and race 2 for him took him out of contention for the lead in the class. But we are preparing for the final race of the day here at the Watkins Glen circuit. Warm-up now coming to a close, which means that we are just about to prepare for race number 3. 18 laps will be on the clock for this one. Phil McDougall there, we're giving a wave over in the YouTube channel as well. What are you doing over here, Phil? You're starting in 3rd position. Get yourself back focused on the track. Let's have a look then at the grid for the final race of the day. Adam Wilson-Weir will be starting this one from the front of the field after finishing the last race at the bottom spot. Adrian Hernandez will be starting in 2nd, ahead of the man over on the YouTube, who's over there for some reason. It's 3rd position, Phil McDougall. Sam Bradley will be starting this one in 4th, ahead of Jamie Dory. Matt Gatter will be starting in 6th position, ahead of Alan McCain. Andrew Pike will be starting in 8th Ben Oucher will be starting in 9th, Adam Nigel Stock. And then you got Jonathan Berry and Craig Twardock in 11th and 12th position. 13th goes the way of Michael Clough. Jack Pittas starts in 14th, and Lee Horn in 15th position. Ned Worth will be starting in 16th. Stephen Bird will start this one in 17th position ahead of Nick Clibbins, 18th position. 19th position will be Kieran Sharp. Sam Smith will be starting in 20th. Adam Delmont and Isaac Doble, the two men that sprinted towards the race 2 line to be finished just 1,000th of a second apart, will find themselves at the back of the field for the final race of the day in 21st and 22nd position, respectively. Here the field is then, preparing to start this rolling start that we have seen tonight. 18 laps on the board for this one. We have seen 2 11-lap races go down to the wire. It is going to be no different here for race number 3, but who is going to be the driver at the very front of the field in the end? Jamie Dorey is the highest man sat in the Pro class, 5th overall after a poor race 2. You've then got Andrew Pike and Ben Oucher. Pike, who qualified in 2nd, has not been able to see that replicated after spinning in race 1. He ran around in race 2. Can he do something from 8th on the grid here? And Ben Oucher, the only other pro driver inside the top 10, is starting this one in 9th position. Right, we are getting started for this formation lap and for race number 3 here around the Watkins Glen circuit. Let's see what we can do as we come up towards the final turn. Formation lap is out. Adam Wilson-Weir will call us to green ahead of Adrian Hernandez. Phil McDougall and Sam Bradley will be just behind as we come up towards the timing line. The green flag is in the air. It drops early, and away we go. Already a car onto the grass there as we go side by side up towards turn 1. It was 5 wide in the background as we head into turn number 1 here, and drivers try to keep it facing the right way, spreading out through the first turn and getting it back onto the racing circuit there without any issues. Are we going to see an accident through the S's this time? No. We stay green through the early point on the S's. And there's an accident at the front, and once again, Adam Wilson-Weir finds himself around. Jamie Dorey was the man who collected him, and it is a number of cars caught up in that one, but they all find themselves facing the right way in the end. Adam Wilson-Weir is the last man to come through at the back. Alan McCain, though, is looking to go side by side with Craig Twardock for the lead in this race. Andrew Pike is in to 3rd position right now as well and has had a good start. Jonathan Berry up into 4th position as it stands. Caught up in that accident towards the back was Gatter, Smith, Clough, Dorey, Wilson-Weir and Kieran Sharp. Through turn number, the final turns, and that's the 212 of Alan McCain, who goes sideways and around here, side by side, for Jonathan Berry and Hernandez for the lead of the Pro-Am field as they come up towards the timing line. Lee Horn holds over Ned Wharton in 7th overall. Right, we go up towards turn number 1, and it's still side by side. A little bit of a lock up there for Sam Bradley, but he gets it through without contact, as they all do. But once again, we have cars running side by side, and Jack now looking to move up the order this time after the unfortunately getting collected with Wilson-Weir on the final lap of race number 2. He does have more laps to work with it here in this one. But he has worked his way up to 7th overall right now. I hate that it keeps on defaulting to class positions. Let's get that fixed there. 7th overall there as Ben Oucher moves his way through into 3rd as it's side by side in this fight for the podium right now. Twardock is just pulling away, but Pike and Hernandez are the two that are side by side in the fight for 2nd position right now. Hernandez leading that Pro-Am field, looking to try and take it to make it 3 different Pro-Am victories victors in the first 3 races. Will we see the same in the overall as well? Up towards the final turn we go, and again here comes Fernandez, this time on the outside of Jonathan Berry. Berry looking to try and get that inside line. There was a little bit of a nudge, but they all face the right way without too much contact. Lee Horn though getting pushed by Sam Bradley here. Luke and Jonathan Berry drop down the order. Nick Clibbins gets in the purple as he looks to try and take his second win, and around we go. That's Berry around at turn number 1. A very big hit there, and it looks like Isaac Doble was involved in that one as well, as he now gets himself facing the right way. Let's see if we can figure out what happened there. It was contact with Sam Bradley, and Doble was collected, and both of them went into the wall there. But they are both going again, so just showing that consistency is what matters, as Doble says. And right now, Doble has one poor result, a race win, and what is turning into another poor result for him. But the fight for 13th position is ongoing in the background, and for the second time today, we are going to see the safety truck come out of the pits. And because we have got the safety truck, it means drivers will have to maintain their position from the moment it comes out. No fighting to the racing line in this one, as drivers get themselves around and sort themselves out. Let's have a look then at a few of those. It looks like this was just that initial contact, well, the contact we saw at turn number 1 that a number of cars were involved in. It doesn't look like there was much else going on actually that would have warranted that safety car. Matt Gatter's had an issue. We didn't see this one. That was Gatter going around at turn number 1 in the 14. He keeps it out of the way though. This was Alan McCain. He went around on the first lap. It was contact with Berry that sent him around spinning and then collected as well. Caught up in that one. Then we had, this was the accident behind. That was sharp. That was the very end of the accident. Let's have another look at this one. Because this was the lap 1 wreck, of course. It was smoke already up ahead. Jamie Dory collecting Wilson Weir. And then Kieran Sharp was caught up right at the end of that one, which was a real shame. It's just a number of cars getting caught up in wrecks in the early stages of that race, but a number of smaller incidents here. I'm not too sure what caused the safety truck to actually come out. I think it was mostly there were a number of smaller incidents in the early stages of this race that split up the field. We did call the safety truck then, and we are under caution, like I say, for the second time tonight. The first time we saw the pace truck come out was in race number 1, following that massive wreck along the start-finish straight. But it is out once again here, and we will stick with those comments that the Legends, they just look miniaturized compared to the truck. They are absolutely tiny. It almost feels like we're watching juniors go out racing, you know. They feel like there could be 6-year-olds in those cars. Like the truck's just a good-sized truck, and then we have some 6-year-olds racing behind. Don't let them know I said that. They'll start thinking I'm commenting on their driving. That's certainly not what I am. They've now seen me behind the wheel of a car as I race in the NXTGEN's Touring Car Series every other Tuesday. You can see me fail in that one, so make sure you watch along on the NXTCCs, which will be every other Tuesday in correlation with this one, which means next week we'll get the touring cars, 2 weeks' time we will get the Legends back out again, and it will alternate like that all the way through to the end of May. What a wonderful, wonderful 5 months we have coming your way, so make sure that you hit that follow button, that subscribe button, whatever button it is on any of the channels that you're watching, so that you get notified when all of these wonderful broadcasts are, so you don't miss out on any of them. And of course, returning this season, this year, will be the next season of the GT3 Championship as well, which runs on a Thursday, so make sure that you don't miss that one either when we return. Lots going on at NextGen, and it is lovely to see these Legends back out on the circuit once more. They have always created some absolutely fantastic racing. Tonight is no different. Some really close contended battles. Craig Twardock has found his way to the front of the field after getting involved in a number of incidents in the first race of the day. Ben Oucher sits there in second, and Andrew Pike has recovered into third. Jack Peters did have some issues in the second race of the day, but he is back into fourth position. Does have an opportunity once more again. Lee Horn runs around in the top 5. Hernandez leads the Pro-Am. Stephen Bird is once again in second in that Pro-Am. Can he take the ATA to a class victory at some point tonight? He's always been there, but something has always gone wrong. Lights were off on the pace truck at the start of the lap. What that does mean is we will return to racing on the 6th lap of asking, and we will go for 13 more laps of racing action around the Watkins Glen circuit, with Twardock leading the way and Alan McCain following up at the rear of the field. Jamie Dory started this one in 5th. He was involved in that first lap accident as well, out of the S's. He finds himself down the order with Kieran Sharp. Isaac Doble down there as well, Jonathan Berry. Some names that we were seeing in the front falling down for issues on the start of this one. Right, we prepare to go racing once more, and once more Craig Twardock leads the way. He weaves along, but he gets going, and we go green. Isaac Doble and Jonathan Berry are black flags on the restart, most likely being out of position, but because of that, it means their black flags are rescinded. We go through turn number 1, and that was Andrew Pike. Andrew Pike goes around at turn number 1. He falls down the order on the restart, and Michael Croft down there with him as well. Not what either of them would have wanted. Lee Horn now on the back of Ned Wharton, looking to try and move up the order, but here comes Nick Clibbins on the outside as well, as Clibbins returns towards the front of this field once more. A battle for second. Norton holds on to that second position right now as Horn moves into third. Oucher stuck on the inside. Adam Delmont to the inside line will try to take the victory here in race 3 that he was not able to do in race 2. Remember, Delmont started this race in 21st position. Overall, he's up to third. Anyone can win it from anywhere, is what Isaac Noble said after race 2. And that is certainly being shown here now as we come up to 1/3 of the way through the final race of the day. Through the final turn we go. It's side by side for Craig Twardock and Adam Delmont. Twardock pulls out ahead though and will give a nudge to Wharton of a bit of a bump draft, but Delmont gets back to the inside as it's side by side between Horn and Oucher behind, as well as there's a slide there from both Horn and Twardock, but they both hold it. They both remain the right direction without losing positions as well. Ned Wharton though looking now to try and take the lead past Adam Delmont. Twardock pushes Delmont, moves for a moment to see if he can make it 3 wide, but he isn't going to have any speed there. But here comes Stephen Bird. Look at the speed that Stephen Bird carried on the outside. Of course, he doesn't have anyone pushing him now, so he'll drop back behind, but that initial boost of speed at the start there is that's Delmont sideways and around. At the front of all of that was who was that around in the front of all that? It was Ben Oucher. Nick Clibbins was caught up in that one as well. So Oucher spins and finds himself towards the back of that one. Here's how that one works out for him, as it was just a loss of the rear end. It was a nudge. It was a nudge from Clibbins, and Lee Horn thrown out off of the circuit as well with that one, but Oucher recovers down in 19th position now. Ned Wharton finds himself with a bit of clean air, but I'm sure it won't stay that way for long. Is Twardock going to work with Delmont here to find themselves back up towards the fight for the front? It looks like it, because he doesn't go for the overtake there, just pushing Delmont, although on the exit he does get a nice run, but again dropped behind Delmont there, looking to work together to just close that what was a 7/10 deficit to Wharton. It's down already to less than a 10th, and in fact Wharton falls down as he just sees the charging pack behind him. He just lets them through. He said that he tried to do this in race 1, and he waited a bit too late to make the move back through. Wharton knows being at the front is not all that it's cracked up to be, especially in a race like this. It remains side by side behind then with Pittas and Hernandez, as Pittas is trying to get back towards the front after getting involved in that last lap accident in race 2 that took him out of contention for a win. He's going to try and find his way back there now. He can see the fight going on ahead, which includes Stephen Bird, who was also fighting for a win in race number 1, but he spun himself out of that contention from the lead, as we saw Andrew Pike do as well in race number 1. Up towards the timing line though, and the 28 machine is going to have the inside of Stephen Bird in the 88, and he goes to the inside of Craig Twardock as well to move into second position. A slide there from Twardock gives Pittas the position of second place right now. And Jack is going to like this one. He is going to want to move back through. He's got the support over in the Facebook with Robert there, saying unlucky for race number 2, but fingers crossed for this one. He is up there once again on the podium. Craig Twardock, though, looking to regain the race lead if he can, but that's a defensive move from Hernandez, who has moved towards the front of this field, and once again Stephen Bird is there, but it is a fight for the Pro-Ams right now as well. The 88 and the 19 both going not only for the class win, but the overall win in this fight, as 6 cars fight it out at the front of this one. Nick Clibbins behind Phil McDougall, looking to try and get back up to 8th as well, but it's almost 4 wide there. It is going to be 4 wide for just a brief moment. There's a little bit of contact there for Twardock and Bird, but everyone keeps it facing the right way into the final turn and around. In the background there was, I believe, I can't even figure out who it was. I thought it was Jamie Dory. Looking at the livery, it was. I was surprised to see Dory so far back up the order again, but he spins it in the penultimate turn. It's side by side once more for second position as we go 3 wide on the exit, as Stephen Bird finds time by keeping it tight instead of pushing out wide, and he moves into 3rd position side by side between Wharton and Hernandez behind as well. Bird, is he going to slot in? No, he stays out wide. Could be pushed by Wharton here. No, Wharton goes through his own line, but he is going to be pushed by Hernandez. The 2 Pro-Ams in the middle right now. It is the pros surrounding them like a hunting pack at the moment. Up towards turn number 1. Hernandez backs out of it. Bird does not. He pushes in to second position, but stuck on the outside of Twardock right now as the fights continue on through on this 10th lap of asking. We're heading down to 8 more to go. Penultimate corner we go to now, side by side behind, not for the lead, but once again it is Bird to the inside of Pittas there, but couldn't quite do it. As now Bird could be under attack from Isaac Doble. Doble was involved in that accident, one of the accidents that brought out the safety car. He has found himself back into 5th here. Of course, he won race number 2. Could he find himself with 2 wins to his name out of this one? Here's Pittas, moves back into the lead of this one for a moment ahead of Delmont, but does hold that inside line now as we come through the S's, being chased by Craig Twardock and Stephen Bird and the rest of the pack too, because there's not that much of a gap until you get back down to Kieran Sharp, who's about 2 seconds back. So that's the top 11, and that's the 65 of Isaac Doble. After finding his way up the order, he finds his way back down it once again. And it's just a little bit of contact there with Craig Twardock that sends him around. Jack Pittas is back into the lead of this one ahead of Delmont. Stephen Bird is back into 3rd position. Ned Wharton will be looking to do something, and after a recovery drive at the century for Isaac Doble, he's back down the order once more with Jamie Dory towards the back. Now Adam Delmont has a good opportunity to try and take a win here after coming home in 2nd in race number 2 after a challenging race, number one. It almost went his way in that second race, just a thousandth of a second separating them. He crosses the line 8 thousandths of a second behind Pittas, but he moves into the lead before turn number one. It's side by side for Craig Twaddock and Ned Wharton. In fact, they go ahead to try and go side by side with Stephen Bird here as we go through the S's, and that is going to go the way for Twaddock, but Alan McCain getting involved now in the Pro-Ams as well. The Pro-Ams, they can get themselves involved just because they're in different classes. Of course, the Pro-Ams taking their points from class results, and the Pros, though, they take their points from their race results, their overall race results. So they really don't want the Pro-Ams up here, but it's going to be, and it's contact, and Dalmont's around. A huge accident into the hairpin. More cars trying to avoid the gaggle that just expired at the hairpin. But what happened in that one? Dalmont getting pushed here. Was it contact from behind that caused it for Dalmont to go sideways, being pushed, and Twaddock just pulls to the right? Craig Twaddock just pulled to the right there. I think he was pushed, actually. If we watch that from behind, he's being pushed by, I believe, Clibbins behind. Oh, that's a hard one, but another huge accident there. Right, back up towards the front, though, because it is a fight for Alan McCain, Ned Wharton, and Jack Pittas, who are looking to try and take the race victory here with 6 laps to go. Alan McCain in that Pro-Am class. And the Pro-Ams have really found their way ahead of the Pros in this second race. Of course, they started there, but it doesn't mean they ever stay there. Today, however, those Pro-Ams doing a great job. First and second right now, as Jack Pittas is pushing on that right-hand side. Wharton looking to try and follow through now as he tucks to the inside, leaving Stephen Bird on the outside line. Bird still looking for his first class win of the evening as well, after going out of the lead fight a number of times, as that is a move to the inside for Pittas here, and he goes to the inside. Wharton to the outside. Wharton extremely wide, do the penultimate turn, gets it back on, but is behind now. Pittas, McCain will hold on to second position. As we go on to 5 to go, Jack Pittas has moved back into the lead of this race. Alan McCain, though, he's gone around already this evening in this race, in fact, but has found his way back towards the front. As Wharton carried a lot of speed into turn one, it gets him the initial overlap, but he does fall back down again, and Pittas once again holds on to the lead of this one, and Stephen Bird now behind is looking to try and get through. As we ride on board, we can see what it feels like to be in one of these cars as we head up towards the hairpin. It's side by side, you've got 2 cars to your right, but this outside line is shaking, it is moving. The inside line is not so much. Bird and Wharton both back out slightly there, but they are going to stay running side by side. Wharton falls ever so slightly behind. Pittas had the inside line over Alan McCain and will regain the lead of the race, but McCain once again will have the inside up towards penultimate turn. But here comes Ned Wharton to make it 3 wide into the penultimate turn. Wharton pushes it just enough to gain maximum momentum. A slight tap there with Pittas, comes out of the final turn, but Jack Pittas is leading the way here. Ned Wharton to the inside, and Alan McCain as we go 3 wide up to turn number 1 on the 14th lap of asking here. Alan McCain moves into the lead. We saw this happen last lap, and it alternated all the way back again. This time Jack Pittas cannot make his way back into the lead, but Wharton does make his way past Alan McCain. It is going to be the Pros on the right-hand side of the circuit, the Pro-Ams on the left-hand side of the circuit as they go past our cameras there. And who is going to come out on top in this one? Are we going to see the Pro-Ams move back towards the front? Are we going to see the Pros there? The Pro-Ams have more speed on that outside line. Alan McCain and Stephen Bird are going to hold on. As we head up to the hairpin though, Wharton looking for that inside line, gets past Bird. Pittas is going to look for that inside as well, and now Wharton's line takes him to the inside of Alan McCain as well, and once again they run side by side. For a moment it looked like Bird was going to try and make that 3 wide. He didn't, as they disappear for just a moment behind the trees. They'll reappear with Alan McCain side by side with Ned Wharton. Wharton just running a little bit too wide, and the position goes the way of Alan McCain, who gets a bit squirrely on the rear end there. We head up now to 3 to go on the final race of the day. We head up towards turn number 1, and the leading 3 drivers are separated by less than 2/10 of a second. It's absolutely incredible right now. As we go out of turn number 1, Wharton pushed it as close as he possibly could to the wall there. So we ride on board with Pittas, who sits in 4th position, chasing down McCain, Bird and Wharton. McCain looking to go around the outside of Wharton there, but that was Bird giving Wharton just a bit of a nudge to get some speed. Pittas, it looks like he's going to try and do the same to McCain. It's not going to be enough though, because that inside line just gained so much momentum early doors along that straight there, and then Pittas is going to go up the inside of Alan McCain as well as Stephen Bird. He is fighting for the overall win. He is trying to stay ahead of McCain as well though for the class win. Up towards the penultimate corner, as we also head up towards the penultimate lap right now. You can see that train of drivers behind, Sharp, Clibbin, Smith and Stock. Don't count them out of this victory yet. They were about 2 seconds behind not too long ago. With 2 laps to go, they could definitely pull themselves back into the fight, because if they are running in a line working together, whereas these 4 at the front are fighting, McCain and Bird side by side in towards turn number 1. Pittas has got that inside line on Bird. Bird carries the speed though. It's a little bit of a wobble there from McCain. It's going to force him wide, and it's going to give both Pittas and Pittas and Bird his inside line. Bird had to back out though, and here comes Wharton. It is 3 wide through the S's, and Pittas is the one who had to back out of that one just to avoid any sort of contact. That gap behind though down to 0.8 of a second, and that train of drivers is very much going to be in it on the final lap of Erskine, and with it are 2 of McCain's teammates, Clibbins and Smith, through the hairpin now, and we are looking like we are going to have a 7-car fight for the win here as we head up towards the final lap of Erskine. It's side by side yet again at the front of the field, but Bird is the man on top. He's got Wharton to his inside though, as we look to go about 3 wide into the penultimate turn. We are going 3 wide as Kieran Sharp in the 23 is getting involved straight away here after pulling up towards this fight. A little bit of a snap on the back end there, but he holds it. Across the timing line we go, onto the final lap of Erskine, and it was 3 wide for a moment. It settles down. Pittas moves past Wharton into turn 1. Wharton will be wanting to do this because he is going to want to get the speed on the S. It's a slide though, and here comes Kieran Sharp. It's all going to be down to the final lap of Erskine. 7 cars are in with a chance of taking victory here at Watkins Glen. It's side by side behind as McCain falls behind Sam Smith. Smith now leading the Pro-Am field. It's going to be a push on the inside. Kieran Sharp pushed by Ned Wharton, and it's an accident with the 3 teammates all involved in that one. Wharton's around as well, and it will leave just Kieran Sharp and Stephen Bird fighting it out for the win here. Will it be the pro driver? Will it be the Pro-Am driver who takes the victory? Stephen Bird has been wanting to take a class victory all evening long. Can he turn it in to an overall victory here? He looks to the inside just a moment on Sharp. The door was not there. It looks like this is going to be victory for Sharp as we come up through the final turn. He's just got to carry the final amount of speed here up to the line to keep ahead, and Kieran Sharp wins. Stephen Bird, after trying all evening long, finally takes the victory here, and it will go the way of Andrew Pike, who takes third ahead of Jamie Dory. In the end, the rest of the field all coming through at that one, but we are going to see this accident. We're just going to jump a bit further back here of what actually occurred here. It was McCain who moved up and just collected the field. It was McCain there who moved up the order. Who just moved through just a little bit. And I want to see how Horton was caught up in this, because he was ahead of it all. We look off the rear. There's the initial contact. Oh, it was just a clip. It was the smallest of clips from Clibbins that sends Wharton around, because he was just up ahead of it, but a huge accident there that caught up a lot of the field. But that is going to be the final race of the day. So let's get our results here. From the final race, it was Kieran Sharp who took home your final victory ahead of Stephen Bird. Andrew Pike came home in third ahead of Jamie Dory. Adrian Hernandez finished that one in fifth ahead of Sam Smith, and Nigel Stock came home in seventh ahead of Adam Wilson-Weir. Isaac Doble in the end coming home for ninth ahead of Adam Delmont, the two of them inseparable. Craig Twardock finished that one in 11th in the end ahead of Nick Clibbins. Jack Pitters down in 13th, unfortunate once again in that final race. Ned Wharton down in 14th position. Alan McCain came home in 15th ahead of Phil McDougall. Jonathan Berry in 17th ahead of Matt Gatter. Lee Horn finished in 19th ahead of Michael Clough. 21st went the way of Sam Bradley, and Ben Oucher finished that one at the back of the field. Right, let's see if we are able to just pull on anyone at the end of race number 3 there. It was a very interesting fight up and down the field, that is for sure. But we will have a quick word, if we can, here with Jack, who managed to, well, get into the fight for the win. In race number 2, it was a real shame for you, Jack. You were caught up in that last lap spin from a back marker. And in race number 3, just the huge wreck on the end there. Talk us through the evening.
Yeah, it's a bit of a frustrating one. As you could see, the pace was clearly there. I was fighting for first in the second and third race, but just got a bit unlucky, to be honest.
Yeah, it certainly was. How do you feel, though? This is obviously a very different series to most out there. With the combination that we had tonight, the track limit's not really existent. It created some absolutely fantastic racing. How was it for you?
I definitely agree with your statement of fantastic racing. I raced for about half of the last season they did in these, and it was just brilliant the entire time, to be honest. I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, that's that. There are still slots open, of course. And Jack, you haven't been able to take your victory yet, but we've got a fantastic calendar coming up ahead. 10 rounds, of course. Do you feel like you've got that pace in there if you're just able to avoid the bad luck and get yourself those race victories?
Definitely. I did win last season in like the very last race, I think it was, at Brands. And I was near the front most of the time, so the pace is definitely there.
Certainly is. And I know that you are quick in pretty much anything that you jump out there and drive there, so it'll be fun to see what you can do, and hopefully we'll get some more awesome racing like we did tonight. Thank you so much, Jack, and well done.
All right, thank you.
Jack there coming home. In the end on that final race, it wasn't a great result. It was 13th overall, but of course he was up there towards the front before getting involved in some of that contact. Talks about, of course, the previous season having a good run in that one. And as he said, definitely get yourself involved in this one. There are still a few slots remaining, so if you've enjoyed what you've watched tonight, get down on track. I don't know what you're waiting for. If tonight hasn't shown you how amazing this series can be, that anybody has the chance to win, then come on, what are you waiting for? But we are going to be back in 2 weeks' time. That is the next time that we are out, because this is going to be every other Tuesday. So, in 2 weeks' time, we will be around the Oschersleben circuit on February 3rd as we head to Germany for the first of what will be 3 times this season. We have got some absolutely fantastic circuits coming up. If you like the Watkins Glen circuit, you are really going to like circuits such as Portland, Mugello, the Hockenheim Ring. We're doing the outer layer of that one. Willow Springs. You've got some great circuits similar to this one. All of them, though, promoting the absolute brilliant racing that we had tonight. So I hope that you have enjoyed the racing just as much as I have in the commentary booth. Make sure you've hit that follow, that subscribe, that whatever button there is around for you to press to show how much you enjoyed it and to be notified when we go live. Make sure you have hit that. And if you want to catch up with all of the race highlights, then make sure you head across to the Joseph Wright Broadcasting YouTube channel, because there will be highlights available over there, which is at youtube.com/@JosephWrightTV, and you will be able to catch up with the best moments of each of the races. That will be available within the next day or two over on the YouTube, so make sure that you head down there and check that one out as well. But from here at NXTGEN Racing, and for me, Joseph Wright, I hope you have had an absolutely fantastic evening watching these. We are going to be back at NXTGEN next Tuesday for round number 2 of the NXTCC. Unfortunately, you won't hear my voice, but you are going to hear the absolutely amazing voice of Paul, so make sure you come down and check that one out. And if you do want to see me, I'm going to be down on track showing how badly I can drive in comparison to my commentary. So make sure you come and check that one out, and we will be back once again for the Legends in 2 weeks' time. If you are watching over on the Joseph Wright TV Twitch channel, then we are going to be back this Friday for our next broadcast. So make sure you hit that follow button over there to be notified when we go live. Thank you so much for watching, though. I hope you have enjoyed. I certainly have. It has been an evening of absolutely great racing. So thank you, everyone who has joined us here tonight. And we will see you for the next Legends round in 2 weeks' time. But more importantly, the NXTCC next Tuesday. Make sure you don't miss it. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.